So earlier tonight, I released this video, which is titled Divorce for Men, Feminism, and False Abuse Claims. And it's gotten quite a bit of comments. And one of the comments spoke to me because it entered into a discussion with one of the guys talking about my story with the injustices that are dealt with when we have false accusations against us. And basically what it says, let me find it. It's from Jans724, and it says, Steve Maeda, it sounds crazy with 8 years. It would be really good to hear a video of how to cope with such a massive injustice. And let me just tell you, I started coaching in 2006. I started coaching men, and this all happened in 2012. So already I was working with men on this already. I was really naive about the court system at the time and was coaching in other things like dating and trauma and sex and PTSD and all these sorts of different things. And when it happened, it rocked me. You know, I expected that the judges and the courts and all this stuff would do what was right. And this woman had made multiple false claims against me. And, one had actually been dismissed by CPS. I just thought it would make sense that this wouldn't stick, but it did stick. So the result of that is that I went to jail, I got arrested, I got criminally charged. So it wasn't just a CPS investigation, it went much deeper. There's different charges. If CPS charges you for something, or they don't charge you, but if they open up an investigation, that's completely different than a criminal investigation. A criminal is worse. And so I got run through the ringer. I got kind of railroaded into a plea. I took the plea. I did a ton of community service, probation, all this sort of stuff. In the meantime, I had everybody and their mother gossiping about me and whatever. But the worst part about that is I didn't get to see my kids for 5 years. So for 5 years, they were taken away from me. Now, after 5 years, when I was reunited, it became really clear and obvious that the people that were damaged most in this was them. And I just want to make this clear. In understanding this and coaching men for the last 17 or 18 years, I realized that the clear, obvious thing that was affected the most was absolutely the kids involved. They were lied to, they were deceived. Let's say I was a bad dad in every single way, but I did not abuse them. The fact that they were taken away from me, told that their father was evil, and then when they come back from that and find out family members lied to them about it, it's just a mess all around. It causes major problems. And if you don't think that affects children, it absolutely does. My consequences in this, going to jail, having people blast social media campaigns about how evil I was, basically trying to erase me, trying to cancel me before canceling was cool and a thing. And doing all of this because, it was cool or fun, or they felt justified to do that. I could say all day long how much that affected me, but it permanently damages the kids involved for the rest of their lives. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, my kids are awesome. They're great. I'm super proud of them. They've excelled in massive ways. Everything is good as it could be, but at the same time, they were dramatically changed. Now, as I talk about in the story in many of my videos, 8 years later, in another case where I was accused of abusing my kids, my ex-wife tried to use that story against me in court to basically win a custody battle, and it blew up in her face. If you're unfamiliar with that, you should watch some of my other videos. Seriously, if you are in the situation of false abuse claims, you need to watch my videos. You need to join my groups. You need to join the Rising Man. It will save you thousands of dollars in court fees. It will help you find an attorney. It will help you fight this if you can't afford an attorney. All those answers are done for you in my groups. I work with men passionately about it. Do it. Do not hold back. I'm not here to rip anybody off. I live for this. And in fact, I got 3 hours of sleep because I handled 6 hours of private calls with clients. But in addition to that, I ran the calls for my groups. And in addition to that, I did all of the email and video work that goes around with my business. Man, I work all the time for you guys. It's a massive thing. So back to this, in 2019, I was accused again of falsely abusing my kids. Well, guess what I did from 2012 to 2019? And this is the important part. I learned everything you could about the law. In fact, I could have learned much more. So I can't honestly say I did it. I learned everything I could. I learned what I could. And man, I made friends with lawyers. I interviewed lawyers. You should watch those videos. They're on the YouTube. And so when I was accused of that, I was able to come back and totally win. So in that case in 2019, I flipped the script. We actually did it with depositions. Again, please watch my videos on this. It's really, really important. It will save your life. And after those depositions, I could have arrested the mother of my kids. I could have started other cases against her. I could have ruined her life. I mean, she was sitting there trying to ruin my life, saying I was abusive to the kids just so she could get her way or whatever. The consequence of that is I go to prison, I go to jail, I go to a sex offender jail, I go to a jail for child abusers. That's really, really bad. What happens in there is not fun. So of course I'm going to protect myself. So let's go back to my reasoning in all of this. And in order to do that, let's go back to 2012. I was put in jail falsely for abusing my kids. It was a horrible thing. It damaged the kids. 5 years later, I saw how bad that damaged the kids. At the time from 2012 to about 2016, there weren't things like the red pill that existed with a lot of anger. There were men's rights groups. And to be honest, they were all just a bunch of fat dudes that were complaining about stuff. They were broken men. Now, I get it. If you're a broken man, you're a broken man. There's plenty of reasons why the world would break you. But in 2012, I was not a broken man. I was a man that wanted to make changes in my life. I was already a men's improvement coach and I had this horrible black eye on my career and I had somebody trying to actively ruin my life. So I got out of that victim mentality. That was huge. I was not going to be a victim. I get it. The court screwed me. I get it. Whatever. You know, the cards are stacked against you. I know that more than most people out there, but I wanted to win. I wanted to learn how to win. I wanted to learn how this could never happen again. And I wanted to teach every guy how to do that. So that's what I started doing. I took it seriously. I started interviewing lawyers. I did everything in my life then to make myself a better father. So in 2012, I was not the best father. I was not an abusive father, but I was not the best father. By 2017, when those kids came back in my life, I did parenting classes. I did all sorts of stuff. Guys oftentimes don't like to do that because they think it admits fault or something like that. Man, it really helped out in parenting because I knew it would be tough for my kids. And by then I had more kids and I wanted to be a great father. I wanted to be integrated in their lives. So this was important. This was important to take those aspects of studying parenthood, studying fatherhood, studying abuse, studying behavioral disorders, and not just blaming that my ex is a narcissist and things like that, but really studying it, seeing how it would work. Why did I attract those people? Why did I choose those people in my life? And in addition to that, looking at all the legal stuff in case it happened again. And it did happen again. And man, it's so screwed up because the woman that did this saw me go through the previous case and helped me through it. And then when her back was against the wall, she made it all up. Once again, said I was abusing the kids just so she could prove a point. And in her mind, it was probably like, oh, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I did all this bad stuff or whatever. So I'm scared and I'm justified to make up a lie. This is where it goes into the message of the earlier video that I released today or yesterday, whenever this video is coming out. And that is that feminism protects this. Now, I don't hate feminism. I think that people overstep with it. It's annoying. It gets ridiculous. But the overall idea of women voting, that's probably pretty good. Women be able to work, that's pretty good. It's not even just probably pretty good, it's good. And I live also part-time in Latin America where these things don't happen. And it's just horrific what happens to women. And there, where there is a male-dominated culture where men get to do whatever they want, and it's this red pill fantasy of whatever, you actually see men become the weakest versions of themselves. Now, there's multiple versions of male-dominated cultures that don't end up that way, but across the board, almost across the board in Latin America, when men have advantages, it actually makes them weaker. So it's not just as simple as that. This gets into my overall message with this. I have been a men's coach since 2006. It is a huge part of my life. I live, eat, and breathe for it. I work all the time. I stay up late. I work with men who want to kill themselves. I stay on the phone with them. I refer them to therapists. I set them up with different therapists. I set them up with different lawyers. I work with them. But you can't just ask me for free advice, man. This is a huge part of my life. You have to work within my groups. That's all I ask, man. It's really affordable. For a tank of gas, you could pay the monthly fee to get what you need to win your court cases, to get your mental health in order, and to come back and be a strong man. Because of that, I'm highly critical about the men's movement. The men's movement complains about what with men? The divorce courts, or even a comment on this is like, your country did this so that women, get an advantage and da 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 da, all this victim sort of stuff. But that's great. That's great information. But of all of the men's coaches in the red pill, in the manosphere, in men's development, who has made products for men with PTSD, who suffer from that in wars, who go and fight for your freedom, and the country does not give a shit about them. The culture does not do anything for them. The government lets them down. Who makes products for those? No, the product is image, status, power. When it comes down to divorce and custody, people say men are ravaged by it and screwed by it. Who has done something to help them? Even, lawyers who could make an excellent business out of this could make a course about it. Who's done that? Who's done that of the red pill? Who's done that? Who complains about that? Nobody. They just say it's impossible and we're screwed and we have to be mad about it. They don't even teach you how to go and move into legislature, which is how you would actually move laws or change laws. I'm sorry. Nobody does that. Who does things for males' self-image, males' issues around sexual dysfunction? All I see is money, power, status is the solutions for those. And the reasons why you fail at life is because you're not alpha enough. You're playing to what we hate about women in our culture, looking at superficialities, and then you're just trying to be the top of that. You're trying to be the top person with a bright, shiny light because that is what the dysfunction of modern femininity does. And when we get into this, it's not just modern femininity. It's modern femininity and masculinity. It's all broken. It's all screwed. Learn how to be a man. Stop being the fantasy. Be your real image. Well, let's go back to this. Who in the men's development industry has been doing this? I am the only coach that does this. I'm the only coach that has created products that work, that help people, that have gotten people to reverse protective orders, which is almost impossible to do. I'm the only coach that has this on helping you navigate through the courtroom, a support system to handle you for 24/7. There's a call right now that I left to make this video because the comments were happening. And guess what? Every Wednesday night from 6 p.m. Central Time all the way till 2 a.m., we have calls where you can rotate in and talk about whatever guy stuff. Now, the calls have different themes. You don't have to be on all of it every day of the week. But if you want to plug and play on what's going to help you win your case, especially in this, or how you're coping with the pain, we have it set for you. Set for you, man. So back to this question, it's a very important one. And it's important to me because I changed my life for it. In 2012, I changed everything. I was already coaching 6 years. I was already knee deep in what men's improvement was. And now it was, in 2012, it was about to go deeper. And man, I proved that you can win in court in 2019. And then since then, I've just proved for thousands of men who have come to my groups to help them personally on how they can transform their lives post-divorce, but also win their court cases if they can. I'm going to be real with you. It's not easy. It's hard. You have to work at it. There's almost always a compromise, but man, you don't get screwed. Court and divorce is about alimony, property, and custody if you have kids. It's real simple. If we can focus on that and we can get your mental game straight, if we can get your mindset straight, man, you can walk away with living an excellent life. And that's what I am in the business of. Check out the links down below if you're interested. The Rising Man is the starting place. And like I said, for a tank of gas, that covers your membership costs for the month. You get 15, 20 hours of calls a week. Actually, with the Rising Man, it might be a little bit less, but plenty. You get a bunch of different coursework to work. But more importantly, you become an empowered man in our society and you can win your court case. You don't have to be a victim. Check out this video here if you're interested in knowing more because it's going to tell you all about how I won.